Hello, it's Dr. Edward, the Healing Vet, and today I'm going to teach you how to tell if your dog is too fat. It's going to take about 5 seconds for me to teach you how to do that. It's one of the most important things you need to learn, is how to tell when your pet is at a healthy body weight, and one of the most absolutely important things you can do for your health, longevity, well-being, happiness and vitality is keep them at a healthy weight their whole life. Okay, so here's the lesson. I want you to take your own hand and just this part just behind the knuckles here, run your fingers across it. That's what your dog's ribs should feel like. Easily discernible bumps without much pressure. Now, if your dog's nearby, I would love you to right now call them over and run your fingers along their ribs just behind the shoulder blade. If you cannot feel the bumps, I'm sorry to tell you, your dog is too chubby. So it's really, really, really important. And I've just started in the last couple of weeks working back 2 days a week in a holistic veterinary hospital, and I am shocked to see just how fat and chubby so many of the dogs that are coming in through the clinic are. There's, really, really common that nearly all the dogs that I'm seeing are overweight, and most of the people, when I tell them, are surprised. And we just had some of the comments, Jane, say, unless you're very overweight yourself and have a very fat hand. Well, if you're very overweight yourself and you have a very fat hand, you could maybe borrow someone else's. But it's pretty rare, even with people that are overweight, to have a lot of fat on this part of the hand. But that's what your dog's ribs should feel like, that part of your hand. So what to do, and wherever you are too, if you're watching and listening, if you're watching us live or if you're watching on YouTube replay, please check in the comments and say hello and where you're checking in from, because I'm always fascinated to see where everyone who's listening are around the world. So let's talk about excess body weight and the problems that obesity causes for your animal. So number one, too much body weight puts a lot of stress on your animal's joints, increases wear and tear, accelerates the development of arthritis in older animals, and makes the symptoms of arthritis a lot worse in older animals as well. It puts a lot of pressure on the liver. The liver tends to get fatty when we've got too much fat in the body. It puts pressure on the liver, it puts pressure on the whole metabolism and all the organs in the body. It also is inflammatory. So when animals are carrying too much fat, too much body weight, this causes inflammation throughout the body. So it worsens any kind of inflammation that is going on in the body. So it's just all around bad. Now, the reasons, why do our dogs get chubby? There's a few reasons for this. Number one is that the companies that make the dog food that you buy, or the cat food that you buy, actually have a vested interest in you feeding your dogs more. They make more money the more you feed your dogs and cats, okay? So nearly always the recommendations of the amounts are biased towards a little bit more than possibly is just the perfect amount. Now, another reason that animals will often get fat is because you're feeding them processed food. You're feeding them dry food, kibble, or tin food, which has got significant amounts of carbohydrates in it. Now, commercial pet food, in my opinion, is slow poison and should absolutely be avoided for your animals. Full stop. You should be feeding your animals a fresh, whole foods diet. Something like BARF, B-A-R-F, biologically appropriate raw food, or a homemade balanced fresh, whole foods diet that's based mostly around meat and bone, raw meat and bones for dogs and cats. That's a species appropriate, healthy diet for your animal. And a lot of times just taking animals off kibble, even if you're only feeding a small amount of kibble supplementing meat and veggies, that kibble all ends up on the ribs because of the carbohydrate content. The reason that they use a lot of carbohydrate in these foods is because it's cheap calories. Meat is expensive calories. So that's a reason. And if anyone's listening live who has checked, who's got a dog that they found was chubby, just let me know in the chat, because we're going to talk a little bit in a moment about how to unchub or de-chub your well-padded friend. It's a super important thing to do. So the other reason that our animals are chubby is because they look at us with those big, sad, starving, I'm going to die if you don't give me a treat or something to eat eyes, right? And dogs are very determined animals, and they're also very good at emotionally manipulating you, the owner, the human. They do this very, very, very well. We've just got Linda Ann who's checked in the comments saying that my dog is chubby, no kibble, no processed food. So hang on the call, Linda, and I will tell you what to do to unchub, to de-chub, to knock off the padding for that dog. And we've got Linda too. So we've got a couple of people just out of this call, just on the live, that have got chubby dogs. And it's emotionally satisfying to give your dog food. It makes you feel better. Makes the dog happy, but it's not actually the best thing for your dog, because it's going to make your dog unhappy in the long term. So, the thing about if you've got a chubby dog, the only way to get to a beautiful, lean, slim, healthy, vital dog is for your dog to be hungry. That's right. Diets, effective diets involve your dog being hungry. Your dog has to actually have less calories going in than they need for their body, so that they start to consume some of the fat that is here, there, on the ribs and everywhere, so that they can lose weight. Now, this is emotionally difficult for the dog, and because it's emotionally difficult for your dog, guess what? It's going to be somewhat emotionally difficult for you, because you're going to have to tolerate your dog's emotional discomfort and not rescue them from it by giving them food whenever they ask for it, which is what a lot of humans do. Okay? So what do we do? The first thing is we need to have some objective measurements so that we know what's going on. Number one thing is, actually, we'll start before number one. Before you do anything else, get off all processed food and onto a fresh whole foods diet. You can get a good commercial bath, or you can make your own. Then number one is that we need to have an objective measure of what's going on with your dog's weight status. Now, either you're going to need to take your dog into your local vet clinic and pop them on the scales every couple of weeks, so that you can see in kilograms and grams or pounds and ounces just how heavy your dog is. Or, if that's a bit of a pain, another really good way to objectively keep track of what's going on with your dog's body score or weight is to get a dressmaker's tape, one of those soft, flexible plastic tapes, have your dog standing up, measure them,